Baby Rhino is left hungry and alone until the most unlikely hero steps in. As beautiful as the natural world is, it can also be deadly. Animals are in a constant struggle to survive, which is difficult enough when they're banding together. When they're left alone, on the other hand, they barely stand a chance. This baby animal was fending for herself out in the wilderness without a friend and without a prayer. But then a stranger from across the savannah came forward, seeking to turn the lonely beast's life around. In 2016, Nandi the rhinoceros came into the world. She couldn't have asked for a better life. She tore across the South African savannah with her mother, who protected her as she grew bigger and stronger. But one surprise threw her childhood off the rails. One day, the two rhinoceroses noticed a vehicle approaching them from the distance. Neither had made contact with humans before, so they didn't even think to run. That put them in more danger than they ever realized. The car was full of bloodthirsty poachers, greedily searching for rhino horns to sell on the black market. The unsuspecting targets, Nandi and her mom, turned to face the hunters just as they opened fire. Nandi fled just in time, though her mother didn't survive. Just a few months old, the rhino had to survive in the middle of the harsh South African summer. She struggled to find food in the arid fields and could only hope she didn't run into any predators. After all, if the young rhinoceros stumbled into a pack of hyenas or lions, she wouldn't have a prayer in defending herself, even if she returned to full strength. Nandi needed to find shelter or protection, and fast. Becoming weaker and weaker by the day, it seemed like just a matter of time before another animal or the elements picked her off. A couple of weeks later, a strange creature did indeed spot Nandi. This time, fortunately, the animals watching Nandi weren't predators. They were humans, and unlike the rhino's last encounter, these people were not armed with weapons, but with medical supplies and food. They were a group of wildlife conservationists led by a young woman named Jamie Trainer. Known as the Rhinoceros Whisperer, she immediately recognized that Nandi was malnourished. Jamie couldn't just leave her there in the wilderness. She and her team whisked Nandi back to their sanctuary, a place called the Rhino Orphanage. While Nandi had a healthy appetite, food alone wasn't restoring her vigor. She clearly required medical intervention. The orphanage's doctor determined that Nandi had, in desperation, eaten sand out of the savannah. After studying the damage to her intestine, he took her into surgery to repair her digestive system. Following her procedure, the rhinoceros looked frailer than ever. She slowly convalesced, wrapped up in bandages and medical tubing, but Jamie rarely left her side those few weeks. As the scars healed, Nandi began drinking more and more milk. That was a very good sign. Since she was developing at the proper rate, Jamie could hardly wait to show Nandi to the rest of the preserve. Before long, the young conservationist had Nandi back up and running. The rhino was bounding around the African terrain with an energy she hadn't since her mother was alive. Nandi really seemed to bond with Jamie too. She saw the human as a parental figure, even as Nandi surpassed the size of any human. But before long, the rhino formed an even more unlikely relationship. While taking a drink of water one morning, Nandi noticed an unfamiliar reflection appear next to her. It was a ginger cat, totally unafraid of the hulking animal next to him. Jamie watched the two from a distance, so glad that Nandi finally met Muey. Muey was a tomcat that Jamie and her colleagues had also rescued. The feline showed a curious penchant for befriending animals of all species, even the horse and parrot who also lived at the Rhino Orphanage. Still, Muey decided that Nandi could be her best friend of all. The mismatched pair went on walks every day, at least until the cat tuckered out, followed by long naps in the shade. The Rhino Orphanage proved to be the perfect spot for Nandi to blossom into adulthood. By the spring of 2018, when Jamie and her team saw she was healthy and full-grown, they decided it was time for a change. Nandi had to learn to survive in the wild before she lost her ability to adapt. With a tear in her eye, Jamie rolled back a section of the fence and set Nandi and another rhino named Storm back into the savannah. Though it was a difficult choice, Jamie could still keep tabs on Nandi's progress thanks to an ankle tracker. Every time she came across the rhino thriving on her own, she knew all her hard work was worthwhile. Thanks to heroes like Jamie, animals across the planet are coming back from the brink of death.